So Vicky Dodds is one of our education advisors here at GL Education, and I'll hand over to her now to deliver the presentation. Away you go, Vicky.
Thank you very much, Andy. Good morning, everyone. As Andy has said, my name is Vicky Dodd and I'm an education advisor at GL Education. Today, we will look at 5 key points to ensure that you are confident in your post-testing strategy after the administration of the Progress Test Series. We'll give a quick review of the Progress Test Series, the reports, specifically the group report for teachers, combination reports to look for group trends and any unexpected individual results. We'll look deeper into individual profiles using the individual reports for teachers, and then finally a look at further support that is available to you. Our Progress Test Series cover English, mathematics and science. The tests have an average reliability of 0.9. Reliability measures range from 0 to 1, so this is very high, and the tests are verified annually using the results of a large number of pupils. For each subject, both core subject knowledge and the underlying skills necessary to excel in a subject are assessed. For English, the Progress Test Series covers spelling, punctuation and grammar, as well as reading comprehension. In maths, the series covers both mathematical skills and knowledge, for example, numbers and algebra, as well as problem solving and mathematical reasoning. In science, the series covers 2 dimensions of science learning, understanding of science content across biology, chemistry and physics, and working scientifically. These subject divisions are also made clear within the reports to ensure that the data you are receiving can contribute meaningfully to teaching, learning and curriculum planning. Now, what do the numbers mean? We're going to look at just some key vocabulary. So there are 3 scores that you will see in your reports. The standard age score, or SAS as I will refer to it throughout the webinar, the Stay-Nines, and the National Percentile Rank, sometimes referred to as Percentile Rank or NPR. You will also see Group Rank, or GR, is also included, and some reports can be sorted by Group Rank. The Standard Age Score, SAS, is the most important piece of information derived from any standardised test. The SAS is based on the student's raw score, so simply the number of marks gained from correct responses, which has been adjusted for age and placed on a scale that makes a comparison with the standardisation sample of students. The SAS is the fairest way to compare the performance of different students over time, across groups and between individuals, and particularly in comparison of key demographic groups within your settings. The average score is 100. And for the PT series, so this is different from the CAT4, the scale runs from 69 to 141. The average range is 89 to 111. The below average range, 88 and below, and above 112 and above. For the Stay-Nines, we have Stay-Nines from as it's a standard 9 scale of 1 to 9, with 1 being the lowest and 9 the highest. Stay-Nines 4, 5 and 6 show average academic attainment. The Progress Test Series for English, Maths and Science is standardised against the UK school population. And we are aware that many international schools have asked for an international school standardisation of these assessments. Our UK standardisations, based on a diverse student population, have proven to be reliable for international schools. But we have analysed the PT series scores from all of our international school customers to provide useful benchmarking for your schools. This is shown for the progress tests in English here on this slide. The full document is available on our website using the link provided. The links will be accessible to you when we share these slides with you following the session. Now, for our Progress Test Series, there is a full suite of reports available to you, from group reports to teachers that collate results for a particular group or class, to individual reports that go into finer detail about implications for teaching and learning for each individual. We also have parent-friendly versions of the individual reports, which provide more suitable advice for supporting students from home. And I do know that many of you generate these and send them home. Our Excel report is what you will use if you're importing any of your progress test data into your MIS, or if you wish to triangulate this manually and do any of your own analysis. If you use CAT4, our cognitive abilities test, you might also wish to use the combination report, which compares indicated ability measured with CAT4 with attainment measured through the progress test series, and also should you be using our NGRT. Now, firstly, we'll look at the group report for teachers. This is available for each of the progress test subject areas and levels. It is important to understand that different subjects and different levels cannot be combined in one group report. The group report can be used to collate results for a particular year, group, class, demographic groups such as Emirati, and can be run sorted by surname, forename, tutor group, group rank, or if this is not the first administration, they can also be sorted by progress category. I'll explain a little bit more about progress categories in the following slides. The report, the group report, provides top level analysis comparing the whole group, so it might be a whole year group, a whole class, a whole tutor group, with the standardisation across the SAS bands. Data from key groups such as boys and girls is also compared within the report. And if you have entered student information into TestWise about specific demographic characteristics such as EAL, SEND, these would also be compared within the reports. Custom 2, where Emirati is stored, will also be included in the group report. Curriculum content analysis in the group report enables you to easily identify strengths and weaknesses across groups or cohorts, helping your heads of departments of maths, English and science to address gaps in learning, and your teaching staff to address gaps in learning through data-informed curriculum planning. This is also enabled through the question level analysis within those group reports. If the testing is run annually, and this is not the first administration, which for many of you, it will be not the first administration. So this will provide progress categories within the report. There are 5 categories for progress: much higher than expected, expected, lower than, and much lower than expected. The progress tests provide an overall SAS and STAY9s, and STAY9s are provided for English skills and reading comprehension in the PTE. So you get an overall STAY9 and then individual STAY9s for the reading comprehension and the English skills. In the PTS, the progress test in science, STAY9s are provided for biology, chemistry, physics, and working scientifically. A single STAY9 is included for the progress test in maths. As I said, the group report for teachers provides you with top level data analysis across your setting, and you can easily see where significant trends in learning can be identified across the school. So this is your top level analysis graph, a typical one that you will see within the group report for teachers. Key demographic groups can also be analysed, such as gender, as we see here. EAL, SEN, if you have that data stored in TestWise, nationalities will be provided within a table, and any custom fields utilised, such as recording those who are Emirati students. These graphs provided in the group report show you the standardisation in pink, so that is this line here, and a breakdown of scores across the SAS bands, allowing you to identify trends and patterns. We can see in this top level analysis example that the data is slightly skewed to the right, with quite a number above the standardisation sample being in the above average and very high ranges. The distribution of scores for Emirati students, as recorded using Custom 2 in TestWise, is provided within the group report, and this allows you to conduct immediate comparison of this key demographic group with other students and with the standardisation. We can see here that other students within the school, from this example, are shown in blue, with Emirati students shown in purple, and that is then tallied against the standardisation sample. Heads of department of English, Maths and Science might wish to run group reports for whole cohorts or at class level to identify any strengths and weaknesses that can be considered with regards to schemes of work and curriculum planning. This is an example from a progress test in English group report. In the example seen on the screen, we can see that the standardisation in pink is noticeably lower than the group average in green for non-narrative reading comprehension in this English progress test in English example. For English skills, grammar and punctuation, we can see that the standardisation in pink is higher than the group average in green. However, this is only a relatively small weakness, so perhaps would not need immediate direct attention, but would be worth noting. This analysis might be used to inform group interventions where a group report for teachers has been run at class level, or where it is you've run it for your custom groups within TestWise, and therefore it can make the best use of teacher time and have greater impact in the classroom. Curriculum content analysis is provided in two formats. We've got the graph shown on the screen here, and also a table, and both of which show comparisons to the standardisation. This is an important context to consider, as the lowest score may not be the weakest area. The graph makes it very quick and easy to do a visual check of your curriculum content and pick out stronger and weaker areas, as we have here. You may prefer to use the table instead, and this is an example from the progress test in Maths group report. And here we can see that although one of the lowest percentage scores is in geometry and measures, this is actually one of the strongest areas when we consider the standardisation and the difference between these scores. So this area does not necessarily need to be a priority when planning how to fill gaps in learning. Instead, we might choose to focus on number and algebra, where we see the biggest difference between the group and standardisation scores. It may also be helpful to look at the number of questions included in the test. For example, we can see that probability and statistics do not feature highly in the test, with only 4 and 3 questions. So small differences in performance in those topics would lead to large differences in percentage scores. And similar content analysis is provided for English and Science, as seen here for the example in Maths. Delving even deeper into the group report and into the data, you may wish to utilise the question level analysis. My experience, this has been of particular interest to the heads of department of English, Maths and Science, who want to really identify where their cohorts need additional tuition, additional support in particular areas. Looking at this question level analysis in this example here, you can identify those questions within a particular curriculum area that your group struggled with. This again is provided in graphical form to a quick and easy comparison to the standardisation. You will see on this graph that the standardisation is again represented in pink. We've got the line there, and the group scores are represented by the blue bars. The questions are sequenced by their level of difficulty, hence that they're not in order of 1, 2, 3 along the bottom there. This has been judged by the percentage of the standardisation sample that answered them correctly. This is the same for all of the progress test series. In the progress test in Science, which we see here, the questions are numbered. In Maths, they are labelled with MM and AU, so mental maths and applying and understanding. And in the PTE, it would be ES for English skills and RC for reading comprehension. The standardisation enables you to contextualise your question level analysis. There are a number of questions in this progress test series assessment, this progress test in Science that we see in front of us, where the standardisation is far lower than what the class has achieved, we can see all of these blue bars that are well above this standardization sample line. So something here clearly went really, really well and needs to be celebrated. But on the other hand, we can pick out questions where there is the biggest difference between performance in this class and the standardization. So this helps to clearly identify areas that can be worked on with students in classrooms by individual teachers for interventions or going back over subject content. In this example from the PTS, questions 56, 44, 34, 45 and 21 are particular areas where this group performed considerably below the standardization, and the topics of these questions may be prioritised by a head of department. Question level analysis is also available in a table in the group report, with the added benefit of question content being included for your reference. So when we look at the graph previously and we can identify which questions are below the standardization, we can then look to the table to look at the question level detail. And we've also got the numbers for group correct and standardization correct, and then the difference also within this table. In this example, we can identify that converting between units of measure and ordering fractions are two areas that this particular group found more tricky than the standardization sample. Both questions were in the mental math section, and we can see that from the question number. Although two questions relating to calculating the sizes of angles were answered incorrectly by the majority of the class, this need not really be a great area of concern, where the difficulty of these questions would appear to be higher based on the sample success rate. As with all similar tables that show the difference between the group and standardization, if the group difference is positive, it indicates that the group performed better than the sample, and where the group standardization difference is negative, it indicates that the group performed worse than the sample. Now, as we said, if this is not your first round of testing, which for most of you it probably isn't, you will also find progress analysis within your group report for teachers. This is a scatter plot example from the progress test in maths group report for teachers, and it shows how students have scored between the first and second round of testing. We can see the first administration stay nines, first administration SAS at the bottom and the top, and the second administration SAS here, and the second administration stay nine here. Students plotted within this white area in the middle are making expected progress. Those in orange have made below expected progress, and those in green have made above expected progress. And this can be a really useful visual to see overall how this particular group have progressed between the test they sat in the previous year and the test that they have most recently sat. Also worth noting that the pink dots are females and the blue dots are males. A table in the group report shows the SAS for the first and second administrations of the test. So we have the scatter plot as a visual, and then that is provided also in a table like the example that we see here. Note that only those students who have completed 2 valid administrations of the test are able to have performance compared and therefore progress reported. So if a student has sat 2 tests but they are of the same level, if they've sat the same level test twice, then progress would not be reported. And it does assume a 12-month gap between the administrations. However, a progress category would be reported should it have been longer, due to the circumstances of the last 18 months, for example. Really important, progress categories should not be viewed in isolation. The SAS, Standard Age Score, is an important factor in understanding student performance and progress. For example, a student who consistently performs very highly in their progress test series assessments will have an SAS at the top end of the scale. They are achieving very highly, but since they are at the top end of the scale, they won't necessarily be identified as making above average progress. The progress signifies the rate of improvement rather than attainment. Attainment is shown through the SAS score. Moving on to the Excel report, and this is by far the easiest way to manipulate, filter and colour code your data and manually triangulate it in-house. The report contains a large amount of information and allows for quick, easy comparison between Stay9s in the PTE and PTS, for example. This is a PTE example that we can see here. And we've got the Standard Age Score, which has been colour coded. And we've also got the overall Stay9, the English Skills Stay9 and the Reading Comprehension Stay9. To triangulate this further, we could do a quick deduction to tally between English skills and reading comprehension to pick out any significant discrepancies there, for example. A practical suggestion, and one of the easiest ways to start manipulating your data, is to use the Excel report and use conditional formatting to colour code the scores. I've previously done this, and we provide this guide, this colour key of red, green and blue, and also then going further with the progress categories, with there being 5 categories there. Now, if you're unsure how to colour code in Excel and use the conditional formatting function, we have a short video guide, and this will be linked in the slides that will be shared with you following the session. In that video guide, it's been updated to demonstrate how to apply colour coding, not only to numbers within the report for the SAS, but also for text categories for the progress categories. Moving on to the combination report, if you use our Cognitive Abilities Test, CAT4, you will also be able to compare attainment in PTE and PTM with underlying ability, indicated ability from the CAT4, as measured by the verbal and quantitative reasoning batteries by the way of our combination report. This is another way to easily identify underperforming or overperforming students, those whose abilities in the CAT4, as indicated by the CAT4, pointed to a different level of future attainment. This is shown as a discrepancy category within the combination report. We advise to use the combination report to identify students in the much lower and lower categories within the combination report, where their discrepancy category is much lower or lower, and that indicates that they are underperforming students as indicated by their ability from the verbal and quantitative batteries. This is an example from the combination report of the tables that are provided. Here we have a combination report for the PTE and PTM together. This provides discrepancy categories, as we can see here for English and here for maths, allowing you to quickly and easily see which students remain on track, which students are exceeding expectations with much higher than expected discrepancy category, and which students may be able to make quick gains to catch up, and where there is more intensive support required to help individuals fulfill their underlying potential. Once you've identified students whose data you would like to look at in more detail, from the group report for teachers where you've looked for trends, from the Excel report that you will hopefully have been able to colour code and pick out those that are appearing in red with below average scores, or low levels, a lower progress category or much lower, and then the combination report with the discrepancy categories. Once you've identified those individuals, you can generate the individual student report for teachers, which provides similar data as found in the group report for teachers. The individual report for teachers can be generated as single PDF files for each student. So you potentially can end up with hundreds of individual PDFs, but depending on how they're going to be shared, that's worth thinking about. Or you can do it with multiple reports in a single file. It is a good idea to run this report for students who have come to your attention from the group report or the combination report, as I've said, and they may have a below average score, their progress may have been lower than expected, they may have a discrepancy between their indicated ability and their attainment in the progress test, or they may already be a key group. It may be a child that just gets mentioned quite a bit and who has come, teachers may have raised and they have come to your attention. The report provides a full analysis of the individual students' attainment across the curriculum areas within that subject area of progress test. This will include their number of attempted questions in the test, their overall SAS, overall STAY9, individual STAY9s where applicable, their NPR, GR, so that's national percentile rank, and their group rank, so where they sit within that group for which you've selected to run the report, or within their group, let's say, and an indicator for future test performance, so that might be GCSE or Key Stage 2 SATs. The individual report for teachers provides personal suggestions for teaching and learning based on the attainment in the sections or areas of the test. And this will include practical suggestions that can be applied immediately within a classroom setting for how areas of weakness may be addressed and how an able student could be challenged. In each area of in each subject area, individual reports provide a breakdown of the individual scores. So relevant indicators are provided based on the level of test administered. Here we have an example from the progress test in English, which quickly tells us that the student answered only 27 of 44 questions. We can see from the SAS that attainment is below average with an SAS of 84. We can see the confidence bands as well. In this example of PTE 10, a Key Stage 2 indicator for SPAG and reading comprehension is provided. And then we can see the STAY9 scores for English skills and reading comprehension are included, and discrepancies between these STAY9s should be noted. In the PTM example that we can now see, this student answered all but 3 of the questions, 64 out of 67. Attainment is above average with an SAS of 116, and a GCSE indicator is provided. Note that this is a decimal and indicates how likely the student is to attain the grade. In this example, the student's indicated grade is 6.8. But we all know they can't get a grade 6.8, it doesn't exist. So this suggests that this student is likely to attain at the higher end of a grade 6 based on his or her performance in PTM, but also has a high chance of obtaining a grade 7. So an indicative grade of 5.2 would suggest that grade 5 is most likely, but a grade 4 could be a distinct possibility. So it is worth noting where on the decimal scale they lie. Finally, we have an example from the PTS. STAY9s for each science, biology, chemistry and physics, as well as working scientifically, are provided. In this final example, a progress category is present, as this student had completed PTS in the previous year. We can explore further with the individual report, and looking again at the example of the PTE from the previous slide, where the student attempted only 27 of the 44 questions and her attainment was below average with an SAS of 84. Let's just pop back. We can see that this student had a significant difficulty with spelling, with none of these questions answered correctly. Further weaknesses are apparent in reading comprehension and particularly inference that we can see there. A hugely helpful feature of the individual report is the section suggesting specific teaching and learning objectives for students that teachers might use to support them. This can be incredibly empowering for both the teacher and the student in terms of personalising learning. This example here is an extract from the report for the same student that we looked at in the previous slide. And we can see that specific strategies for teachers have been suggested based on this student's profile. The various reports contain a wealth of information. The process by which you begin to extract the most relevant data in your school and data to your school should be tailored to the needs of your setting. But the following steps are hopefully a good starting point. Run the group PDF and the Excel reports to quickly identify high and low scores and progress categories. Look for group trends. Comparing to the standardisation, look for strengths and weaknesses across curriculum areas. Run the combination report if it's available to you and identify students who have a discrepancy between indicated ability and actual attainment. Ask yourself why this may be the case. What do you know about those individual students? Identify those students that have come to your attention from the group and the combination reports and from the Excel report who have been highlighted, perhaps in red, and look for their specific strengths and weaknesses. Generate their individual reports and identify their particular strengths and weaknesses. Look at the implications for teaching and learning within those individual group reports and note, perhaps add a notes column to the Excel report to record any observations, anything that you think actually that needs to be shared, we should record that. In reviewing the group and individual reports, you should be able to build a picture of the cohort and plan your next steps for your curriculum, and also put in any individual support plans in place where you have identified that need. For further support with your progress test data, we have a range of resources available to you, including our quick data guide, and a huge number of case studies. The curriculum links are available for the PTE, the PTM and the PTS, and the test level guides to ensure that you are selecting the correct test level for your groups going forward. We have our training hub and some short video guides, as I previously mentioned. And all of these links will be available to you in the slides that will be shared to all attendees. And I would like to say thank you for your time today. And I know it's an afternoon there and also very close to the end of your academic year. So may I wish you all a wonderful break. And I will now hand back over to Andrew.
Thank you very much, Vicky, and those of you who've been to more of our webinars will know that when I appear again, it's unfortunately towards the end of the presentation. I found that very useful and I learned stuff, and I've been coming to these webinars for some time, as you can imagine. We have picked up one or two questions during the session. I hope we've answered those, but if you do have further questions, then when the links come out, please do email those back into us. We'll get our account team to pick those up and resolve those for you. I would actually like to point you in the direction of another webinar we have next week on Wednesday, being delivered by Callum Watt, who's head of mathematics at Malvern College in Egypt. He's going to be looking at how our new group reading test has supported their students in learning right the way across the curriculum. And I think it's quite a novel approach, having somebody from the maths department talking about literacy, and that probably makes the point that they are using it quite widely there. So do please check out the website and sign up for that. Let me reiterate what Vicky said. If we don't see any of you at a webinar in the near future, have a super summer break, and no doubt we'll be seeing you at a webinar soon in the new year. Thank you very much, everybody, and goodbye.
Thank you.